Have you ever been near a lake or a coastal bay and seen a dark, almost prehistoric-looking bird sitting on a post with its wings spread wide open to dry? That's the cormorant for you, a truly fascinating and often misunderstood creature. These birds are sleek, with long, slender necks, dark feathers that often have an oily sheen, and a distinctively hooked beak, perfect for catching fish. Their eyes are often a striking turquoise or emerald green, giving them an almost jewel-like quality up close. They are found all over the world, from the rocky coasts of North America to the inland rivers of Europe and Asia, making them a truly global species. Cormorants are masters of the aquatic world, built for a life spent diving beneath the surface. Unlike ducks, their feathers are not fully waterproof, which might sound like a disadvantage, but it actually helps them. This unique trait allows them to sink more easily and chase fish with incredible agility underwater. It's why you so frequently see them perched on a branch or a rock, holding their wings out like a living solar panel. They are simply drying their feathers in the sun and wind before their next fishing expedition. This iconic pose is a signature behavior that defines their daily routine. Their homes are just as varied as their global distribution. You can find them nesting in large, noisy colonies on coastal cliffs, in trees along lake shores, or on small isolated islands. These colonies, called rookeries, can be bustling with activity, as hundreds or even thousands of birds raise their young together. The double-crested cormorant is one of the most common species in North America, easily identified by the small, feathery tufts that appear on its head during the breeding season. These birds are a common sight, a constant presence along our planet's vital waterways, silently going about their lives. But despite being such a widespread and successful group of birds, cormorants have earned a rather unfortunate reputation. They are often called gluttonous, destructive, and even ugly. This perception isn't new, it has followed them for centuries, making them one of the most disliked birds in many parts of the world. People see them as a nuisance, a pest that needs to be controlled. This negative view stems from a direct conflict between their natural survival instincts and human interests, creating a story of misunderstanding that has shadowed this remarkable bird for generations and continues to this day. So why do so many people dislike cormorants? The biggest source of conflict boils down to one simple thing: their diet. Cormorants are expert fishers, and they are very, very good at what they do. A single adult cormorant can eat over a pound of fish every day, a fact that has put them in direct competition with human anglers and commercial fishers. Fishermen often accuse these birds of depleting valuable fish stocks in lakes and rivers, claiming that the cormorants are taking all the fish that they want to catch for sport or for their livelihood. This perception creates a powerful sense of rivalry over a shared resource. The problem is especially intense at aquaculture farms where fish like catfish are raised in dense, man-made ponds. For a cormorant, these farms are like an all-you-can-eat buffet, offering an easy and abundant source of food. Flocks of cormorants can descend on these farms, causing significant financial losses for the farmers. Their sharp, hooked beaks can also injure fish they don't manage to eat, leaving them scarred and less valuable. This direct economic impact has made the cormorant a sworn enemy in many agricultural communities, leading to calls for drastic measures to control their populations. Beyond their eating habits, their nesting behavior also causes major problems for property owners. Cormorants nest in large, dense colonies, and their droppings, known as guano, are highly acidic. Over time, the accumulation of this guano can kill the trees they nest in, turning lush green islands or shorelines into stark, whitewashed landscapes of dead wood. The smell from these large colonies can also be incredibly strong and unpleasant, further damaging property values and making them unwelcome neighbors for anyone living nearby. The visual and olfactory impact of a cormorant rookery can be quite dramatic. This negative perception is even woven into our culture and literature. Cormorants are often portrayed as symbols of greed and bad luck. In classic literature, they are sometimes described as dark, ominous creatures, their black feathers adding to a sinister image. This cultural bias, combined with their real-world impacts on fishing and property, has cemented their status as one of the world's most hated birds. While the complaints against cormorants are loud and clear, scientists and conservationists offer a different perspective. They argue that these birds are often just a convenient scapegoat for much bigger environmental problems. For instance, studies on their diet have shown that cormorants don't typically target the large, prized sport fish that anglers are after. Instead, their diet is mostly made up of small, abundant, and often invasive fish species that live in shallow water. By eating these smaller fish, cormorants can actually help the larger game fish by reducing competition for food. The story of the cormorant population is also a story of a major conservation success. In the mid-20th century, the widespread use of the pesticide DDT nearly wiped them out in many areas like the Great Lakes. After DDT was banned in 1972, cormorant populations began to recover and grow. What many people see today as an unnatural population explosion is actually the species returning to its healthy, historic numbers. We became so used to their absence that their return feels like an invasion, when in reality, it signals a recovering ecosystem that is once again healthy enough to support them. Ecologically, cormorants play a vital role. By controlling populations of small fish, they help maintain balance in aquatic food webs. Their guano, while destructive to trees in high concentrations, also introduces important nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus into aquatic ecosystems. In some areas, this nutrient cycling can actually boost the overall productivity of a lake or coastal area. They are a natural part of the system, performing a job that has been shaped by millions of years of evolution, not by a desire to annoy humans. They are simply doing what they were designed to do. Therefore, blaming cormorants for the decline of fish stocks might be pointing the finger in the wrong direction. Given the intense conflict, it's no surprise that humans have developed numerous ways to manage and control cormorant populations. In some regions, this has led to large-scale culling, where thousands of birds are shot or their eggs are oiled to prevent them from hatching. For example, some governments have introduced hunting seasons for cormorants, reclassifying them as game birds to allow for widespread lethal control. These actions are highly controversial, with wildlife advocates arguing that such culls are inhumane and could once again threaten the species' long-term survival, undoing decades of conservation work. However, there are also non-lethal methods that are gaining traction. At aquaculture farms, some owners use trained dogs to patrol the shorelines and harass the birds, preventing them from landing and feeding. Loud noises, reflective tapes that flutter in the wind, and overhead wire grids can also be effective deterrents. For nesting sites, harassing the birds early in the season can encourage them to move to a different, less problematic location. These strategies focus on coexistence rather than elimination, seeking to manage the conflict without resorting to widespread killing of the birds. This brings us to the ultimate question. Do cormorants really deserve all the hate they receive? Or are they simply a wild animal trying to survive in a world that is increasingly dominated by humans? It seems unfair to label a bird as bad for being a successful predator, especially when its success is a sign of a recovering ecosystem. The presence of cormorants forces us to look at the health of our waterways and confront uncomfortable truths about our own impact on the environment. They are a mirror reflecting the state of our lakes and rivers. Perhaps instead of focusing all our anger on this one bird, we should turn our attention to the bigger picture. We must address the root causes of environmental decline, pollution, habitat destruction, and our own unsustainable practices. The cormorant is not the villain of this story, it is a survivor, a native species that has reclaimed its place in the natural world. The challenge for us is to learn how to share our world with wildlife, even with species that we find inconvenient. The Cormorant Conundrum is really a human conundrum, a test of our tolerance and our willingness to coexist.